There has been a ton of discussion about this DLC nerf. Some people hate it, some people like it, so I figured rather than just give my own opinion on it, why not go directly to the source, what Hugo himself has said on social media, so we can clear this thing up about why it happened. My name is Allstin, let's dive right in. So first of all, he talks about DLC 2 master levels and hammers, and let's get to that one later. Let's break down each of these 7 things one by one. So first of all, Hugo says, we shaved down some unfair difficulty spikes and softened the intro a bit to help improve the pacing. And I've even talked with some speedrunner friends that say the new intro is a lot more chill than the old one, routing that in and doing all those things directly from the start. Now I already know people are going to say, well, Austin, what about Hugo saying we're doubling down on what works, we know our player base? Well, if you just hang on just for a second, we'll get to what he says about that here in just a moment, clear the air there, so hang on for that one. They wanted to bring you in more lightly and then ramp it up. Now, all the changes weren't in UAC Atlantica, most of them were. We'll be taking a look at some other ones along the way. So yes, the intro was shaved down a little bit, I can agree. So our next step is differentiating between DLC and master levels. Using Hugo's words, DLC is made for everyone that understands and enjoys Eternal's combat loop, and master levels are for those who have mastered it and want the ultimate challenge. The DLCs are not master levels or weren't meant to be. So he compares and says that Eternal's base campaign, as hard as they are, Tag 1 is harder, and the Super Gorness master level makes both of them look like tutorials. He said that they have master levels in the works that'll challenge the very best of the community, but can't make the DLC like that. Okay, that's good. That is good that we have more master levels coming that will push the envelope, but those are the things that not everyone will be interested in. Some people just want to have more chill experience, others want to sweat till the very end of it. So that's good that we can differentiate between the two. Okay. Of course, we have to go back to this one. How about we make a DLC 2 master level that's balanced for people who've mastered the hammer instead? Considering that the hammer and its strength is a super hot spot in discussion today, what if there was a master level for DLC 2 that pushed the limits where you needed to use the hammer? I played the Tag 2 randomizer that Prote just released, and let me tell you what, that thing feels like a master level, and you want to use the hammer. If the id Software master levels feel anything like that, you're not going to be disappointed, and you're going to want to use the hammer. Yes, it changes the dynamics of the fight. Yes, it is different in your Doom dance, and there are criticisms valid of it, I do believe. However, try the randomizer out. See if you want to use the hammer then. Just give it a shot. That's a whole other topic for a whole other day about the perks and pros and cons of the hammer, but just keep this in mind of what's coming. Also, I just want to say thank you to this video's sponsor, me. My second channel, The Allstin Analysis, where I cover tech and money news and big events, like the Wombo app that you've been seeing, is over there. So subscribe if you're into that and help it reach 250 subs. I'll put a link in the description below. Check it out. Alright, back to Doom. Kind of echoing back to what he said about the DLC having to be for everyone, it has to be challenging but still balanced. Master levels, on the other hand, are where we can really push the challenge, which we have and will continue to do so. It is saying, hey guys, we hear you, we're not just going to take everything down. The master levels are what you are looking for if you are looking for this type of challenge. He's saying, hang in there are more in the works, we're not going to let off the gas on them, we're still going to give you something that is super challenging, super hard, and will make you be pushed to your extremes and limits. That's just the thing. It seems like, in my opinion, now that we're getting into this, they overtuned the DLC into what they originally wanted. They wanted to say, hey guys, this is what the players want, this is what you need. But now they're saying, well, maybe we went a little too overboard on that. We need to dial it back and make it more fitting to those who are just coming into the DLC who are not the sweat lords. There's actually a quote that he says soon about this, so hang on to that. Just stick around for that. We'll get to that here in just a second. I do think it's important to mention how the possessed Marauder actually was made a little bit easier because he was too overtuned, and the Bloodmakers have a longer window. Now, here's the thing. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I do think there are things that were fine the way they were, and you'll see Hugo talk about that in a second. Like, Atlantica's intro, I think, felt fine, but it's not up to me. I can say what I feel and put it out to you and just be honest and say, yeah, like, I get what people are saying. I see it. I play it. I have my own thoughts, criticisms, and everything else, but I'm going to bring about it in a positive, constructive way. Some people are upset, and listen, I get it, I hear you, I understand, but other people are cool with it, and the whole point of this thing is to talk about what is actually happening. On top of that, it's important that I tell you that my job is to tell you what is actually happening, not how to think. I do not want to tell you how you're supposed to think about these issues, because I just want to tell you what is actually happening, and I hope that you like that part about it, you know? Be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitch if that's the kind of vibe you're into. There was a post that actually talked about newer players, and Hugo clarified his viewpoint in this post by saying that new players was meaning people who are turning on the DLC for the first time, not people who've never played Doom Eternal. So they don't want to make the DLC so easy as to where you can just kick on Doom Eternal for the first time and blaze on right through it. Now, it is available standalone, which battle mode comes free with it, but I don't think that you should start on the DLC. I think you should start on the base campaign, both for the story and to get you acclimated to the flow of Doom Eternal. That's what Hugo is saying, is that it's meant for people who have played the DLC for the first time ever. Now, if you think the intro encounter in Atlantica is anything close to easy, it's a huge welcome to advanced Doom Eternal combat. It does incorporate heavies and different things, supers in the terms of Doom Hunters and a Baron, and I have played the new Atlantica through, as he does want you to do this. Hugo has said that he wants you to just play it all the way through. We'll get to this whole summary in a second, but that's just the whole thing about it. The DLC started too heavy now that they've come and got player feedback, looked at the data and the numbers. See, the thing is, we have to remember, id Software and companies like this have data, they have numbers, statistics on anything and everything that you can imagine, completion rates, and just about everything. If you remember the QuakeCon graphic, it had everything, like it had 10,000 Ultra Nightmare clears. They keep track of all this stuff, how many deaths were in the first level, everything you can imagine. Now, that's the thing. They looked at this data and they said, hey, this is not the direction that we wanted to hit with it. We wanted to hit at this mark, but we're not quite hitting at that mark that we want to. And this is what we have to do. We have to remember that id Software is a business and they want to have a player base that's going to enjoy the content. If you are hanging around the Twitch streamers for Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, you kind of become to get a skewed viewpoint as to how many people play what. Actually, the vast majority of players would probably play on Ultraviolence, Hurt Me Plenty, and I'm Too Young to Die, which is fine, except that you kind of get this viewpoint to where everybody plays on Nightmare because you watch a few streamers that do, and that's just not the case. That comes back to the master level point. Those people still have to be considered. They still need to make the game fun for the hardcore folks too, because they're there day in, day out, grinding it away, really putting a lot of effort into this Doom Eternal thing. So you can't forget anyone over any difficulty, no matter what they play. You have to remember them. And that is what id, I think personally, is trying to say in this whole post and everything. It's important to remember your most dedicated players who are there for you everywhere. Now, this is a hot topic here on the Blood Swamps. Hugo said, no hard nerfs. This has been completely overblown. We revised what were some of the unbalanced moments in DLC 1, and there were only a few of them. I get the outrage, but it's unfounded. He said the players shouldn't be facing a possessed Baron with a backup Baron the first time they meet a spirit. He says that was dumb on my part, and we addressed what was clearly an issue. Softening a bit of the intro to Atlantica to ease new players into the experience a bit more also makes for a better paced experience. Pacing on DLC 1 was overcooked. I said that in my stream. Now, actually, well, it just depends on the direction that you take Blood Swamps. I think that going that path and seeing the Baron first and being introduced into the Spirit that way is the best way to go. Although if you go the other side, you meet a Spirit in a different way. So if you go kind of, I guess what you could call the intended route, that's your first experience with the Spirit. Now, Doom Eternal has puzzles, combat puzzles that are meant to be solved. In Cultist Base, it's got a bunch of different tricks and traps, map 8, Doom 2, with the blades and the cue balls, all that stuff. Well, that's what these cue balls are for. The cue ball arena in Cultist Base got a lot of flack the first time that came out because everybody was like, this thing's hard, but they weren't solving the puzzle as it was telling us. They give us these pieces to solve them, and they want us to figure out, hey, what can I use? They're giving me this cue ball. How can I use it to best solve this puzzle? And the answer was to get a shot onto the Barons. Cue balling those possessed Barons made it a whole lot easier. If you didn't use them properly, it was harder. Now, with the Knights, it's a little different. I think the Knights are supposed to be possessed, but actually in my clip, it was an imp. Blood Swamps is a bit weird in spirit spawn regard because sometimes you'll see something that should have a spirit but doesn't. And I've actually, when the DLC first came out, I did some backtracking and I had a double spirit in an arena. 2 spirits in one arena in the Blood Swamps, and that's not supposed to happen. They were also both fodder zombies that were just hanging out. That's beside the point. It was kind of funny when I saw that on stream. Over on Twitch, if you don't follow me there, you should be. But I really do think it should be a knight and not an imp, if there's some way to make sure that can happen. It makes more sense that way, I think. Basically, Hugo's whole standpoint can come down to this. Everyone should actually play through Tag 1 again from start to finish to see for yourself what the overall balance update feels like, he says. You'll see that DLC 1 is barely changed overall, but the pacing is improved. It's a bit of an overreaction, but it's understandable. Something that you love was altered, and any version of that can be concerning. Yes, it's true, he's right. But mostly people are just playing the opening section of Atlantica, he said, and then saying the whole thing was nerfed. Now, there were changes that are definitely noticeable. It is true, taking out all the tentacles, basically all the tentacles of Blood Swamps. But, as he said, play it start to finish, and before it's saying nerf to the ground, that he is listening always to the feedback. He says even some of the Atlantica changes should be reverted, but the others are good, like deleting some of the tentacles in the fog and making the experience better overall. He said that more master levels are on the way. I assure you that's where the top level challenges will be. It will be bonkers. I'm pretty sure he just made a hammer joke. I don't know if you meant to, Hugo, but you did totally, I think. We'll possess a whole level worth of demons. Kidding. But there are actually mods for that, and they are very difficult. Now, as far as other things go, he says that I'm hearing that Marauder's nerfed, but that must be a bug, and we'll investigate. He says, more info to come on all of this. We are listening always, guys. Love your passion and dedication. Doing our absolute best. Be sure to comment below and let me know if you think, are you looking forward to these changes, or do you like how they are? My name's Allstin. I'll see you later. The secret phrase of this video is, I wish Hugo Martin was my dev, was my dev, was my dev.